So now tune into Blak Cyber, the number one podcast to jumpstart, sustain, and catapult African Americans' career in a cybersecurity. Blak Cyber, securing our place in the industry.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Blak Cyber podcast. I'm your host, George McPherson. My guest today is Yatia Hopkins, better known as Tia Hopkins. Tia Hopkins is the VP of Global Solutions Engineering at eCentire. She holds 2 master's degrees and several industry certifications, such as the CISSP. She has been recognized as one of the top women leaders in cybersecurity by multiple publications. She's also an adjunct professor in cybersecurity at Yeshiva University and is currently pursuing her PhD in organizational leadership. She recently founded Empow Cybersecurity, a nonprofit organization aimed at empowering women of color to be successful in the cybersecurity field. Tia, thank you for joining the show and welcome to the Blak Cyber podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I definitely appreciate this. So I was struggling a little bit trying to read without my reading glasses. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust and put those on. All right, Tia. So let's get into the Blak Cyber origins. Tia, where are you originally from? And who is Tia Hopkins outside of your career?
Yeah, so I am originally from Richmond, Virginia. So I'm a Southern girl. I think I left there 11 years old. We moved around a lot. So I lived in North Carolina for a bit, South Carolina for a bit, shot down to Florida, and then up to New York. Outside my career, wow. I'm a football coach. I'm a retro gaming junkie. I built an arcade in my basement to keep me sane at the beginning of COVID. I like to mod cars. I ride a motorcycle, wife, mom. So I got a lot going on.
So not much going on, right?
Nah, I'm kind of boring.
Tia, can you explain your role as the VP of Global Solutions Engineering at eCentire? And is that eCentire?
Yeah,
is that
sure.
how you pronounce it?
It's eCentire, yep.
Gotcha.
So I guess I should start by talking about, what eCentire does. And so we are a managed detection and response organization. And that's really an evolution of managed security services where it's not just, hey, let's pull in all your logs and send off an alert. We have 2 security operations centers where we have analysts that are actually performing investigations and taking action for our customers. So I lead the team that supports the sales force, essentially. So I have a team of pre-sales engineers, and our responsibility is to go in and discover what the pain points are, any challenges that we may face with integration, and then put together a solution that'll provide basically the best coverage for the customers within, whatever their constraints are, whether that's, financial, resource-driven, whatever that is.
Gotcha. What is the right mix of skills needed to be a successful sales engineer in cybersecurity?
Well, I would say you need to be a bit of a unicorn. I mean, to really have a presence, when you're working through a sales deal. And I would say specifically in cybersecurity, you have to be able to establish credibility, right? And that comes in being able to have meaningful discussions, clearly articulate that you understand what the customer's issue is. And the reason I say specifically in cybersecurity is because if you think about it, let's just take a house, for example. If someone came to your house and said, hey, I work with an alarm home monitoring company, and I want to fully secure your house for you. Well, in order for them to know what they need to secure, you have to tell them where all your holes are, where all your vulnerabilities are. So if you apply that to consulting in cybersecurity, organizations are, or the leaders of organizations are less apt to do that as soon as they meet you, right? So it is relationship building, it's establishing credibility, it's I understand, I've been there. And, then they start to open up more and more and more. But it is a combination of technical skills and soft skills, but it really is the soft skills that elevate your ability to, I guess you could say, put your technical skills on display. Because if you don't listen well, if you don't communicate well, if you don't articulate well, then you may not get to the point where you're able to deliver what you think is an effective solution, which in essence affects the close of the deal. So it sounds like high level is, I just need some technical skills and soft skills. But it really is, it is more art than science, honestly, when it comes to being a really good sales engineer. And it's an underrepresented role, I would say, in tech in general. Like technical sales, when you go out and you look at these career pathways, technical sales, pre-sales engineering is not something you really see. And so I'm really almost selfishly trying to get more people interested in the field, because it's a great field. It's lucrative. It gives you visibility not only into the technical side, but the business side as well, because you have to understand how businesses operate in order to provide the appropriate solution. So, I mean, I think it's an incredible role to pursue.
Got you. Thank you. And it's interesting to me. I like the way you explain that. I've dealt with some sales engineers, and like you say, some of them have those people skills. Like you say, you got to build that trust when you come into a company. Now, I've dealt with some that, top notch technically, but people skills, not so much. So I know that's a very important part of, yeah, definitely. You got to build that trust to get to the technical side.
Yeah, part of my interviewing process is, I'm sorry, not to
no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, part of my interviewing process is a presentation, right? Because you can have all the technical knowledge in the world, but you have to be able to speak in a way that's going to make the prospect or customer listen, right? So how you deliver information and how you formulate that information to deliver it based on what you heard is critically important. Otherwise, it's the phrase in the sales industry is you're just showing up and throwing up. It's just here's all my tools. I'm gonna put them all on the table for you. Tell me which one you want.
Hey, take them tools, please. Get out of here. Tia, so you have an award-winning and accomplished career. What is your formula for success?
Oh, that's a tough question, because I don't think I planned for this to happen, right? If you would have asked me, 3-4 years ago, Tia, what do you see for yourself? What do you want to do? I wanted to be a keyboard warrior in the dark in my basement, saving the world, right? But, my career trajectory had other plans. But I think my core values really, in combination with my drive and just relentlessness, are really what I think enable my success. And it's funny, because when I was saying my core values to myself recently, I was like, oh, that's kind of cheesy, because it's the initials of my name. And so it's transparency, integrity, and authenticity. And I believe in radical transparency. I am honest. It's not like if I think it, I'm going to say it, but I'm going to express it in a way that it can be received. I'm not going to keep things to myself. I don't sugarcoat anything. And from the perspective of integrity, that's all I have. So if my integrity is damaged, then everything else behind that is damaged, right? Because you damage your integrity, you damage your credibility. So I just always take every opportunity that I have and make the best of it. I don't look at what's going to come out of it. I just say, I'm just going to do my best at this, and what comes out of it, comes out of it. And then authenticity. I mean, I walk into a room and people just don't know what to make of me. So I'm true to myself, my authentic self. I'm not trying to be who I need to be in any given moment. And you either take that or you leave it. And that combination of things has served me well. And what's most important to me is that I feel good about myself, because I haven't said or done anything in my career that I'll have trouble sustaining, or that's going to keep me up at night, or that might be a deterrent for people wanting to be mentored by me or work with me. And so in a nutshell, my motto for myself is, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So I just go out, tackle, I look at roles, I look at what's trending in the industry, and I just stay on top of all of it. And that way I don't really have to seek opportunities. Opportunities find me.
Yeah, that's very good advice. As far as being authentic, I think if a lot of aspiring professionals or people already in the field take that advice, they can go a long way in their career. So I thank you for that, Tia.
Sure.
What doors, if any, has the CISSP opened in your career?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's funny because the CISSP is what it is, right? It's the certification that you want to get. And I remember when I was studying for it, when I decided to take it, I was talking to other people that had taken the exam and just what to expect, etc. And back when I took it, it was the full 250 questions, 6 hours, $600. And I'm talking to all these people telling me that they didn't pass it on the first try. And I studied for maybe 2 months and went to a boot camp for a week. But the thing was, I had been doing all these things, right, for all these years. And since my background was in networking, I remember the instructor of the boot camp telling me that I'd probably cut my study time down by half just from having that knowledge. But anyway, everybody was telling me I was crazy for taking it so soon. And I'm like, am I throwing my money away? What am I doing? But I took it and, I passed it on the first try. And the reason I say it's kind of funny is, once I caught my breath and stopped shaking after I passed, for me personally, it was huge. Like I had accomplished something major that I set out to do. And it was just, the biggest confidence booster, and this like switch went off and I just became addicted to achieving. And so I just continued to do these things. So that's what it did for me personally. For my career, it did a lot as well, because I do have vendor specific certifications like CCNA, had some SonicWall certifications, other Cisco certs and things of that nature. But once you put the CISSP, on your LinkedIn profile, it's almost like that's a checkbox that recruiters are looking for, because I started to get blown up, for these job opportunities. And it was rewarding and frustrating at the same time, because I was who I am before I got the CISSP, and my knowledge was what it was before I got the CISSP. And I know there's so many qualified and capable individuals out there that can be successful in cybersecurity that don't have this piece of paper. I met some brilliant individuals in the cybersecurity space that don't have it. So my hope is that it's not a checkbox and that, folks aren't being overlooked because of it. But the way my LinkedIn inbox blew up after I added it really made me think about that. But it did lead to me being hired at East Tire. So for that reason, I'm glad I did it.
Oh yeah. And what I'll say to that is, and I give this advice to myself too. I think I'm gonna go ahead and kind of start studying for it seriously. If you've been in this industry for more than anywhere from 5 to 10 years, I think you owe it to yourself to get it, because like you said, it's a checkbox. You don't want it to be something that somebody just who has that at the top of their list just checks you, just scratches you out because you don't have that certification.
Right.
So I don't say you have to get it. I've had a great career without it, but at the same time, you want to put yourself in the best position possible. So you don't want to, like you said, you got your current position kind of not based solely off that, but it was one of those check boxes.
So, exactly. It definitely will get you to bypass those filters, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I would also say to someone in the field, like you say, you're going to go ahead and pursue it. I talk to people a lot that don't have certifications on their resume that they're currently studying for. And my advice is always put it on there, and put in progress.
Be
Get
truthful.
Through the filter.
Yeah, be truthful. Yeah, in progress. But yeah, definitely put it on there. Yep.
Definitely put it on there, because for those, recruiters or organizations that, have those filters in place where a CISSP is a checkbox, for example, if it's on there, at least you get through. So then they're looking at the whole you, right? Yeah. And maybe you don't necessarily have it, but you have the conversation around, well, yes, I'm pursuing it now. However, here's my skills. And, every conversation is a sales conversation. One of my sales leaders said that to me, and it has stuck with me. Every conversation you have with somebody, you're positioning yourself or something you care about. So that makes it a sales conversation. And I think, especially in our community, as Black people, we don't do a good enough job at putting ourselves on a pedestal. I sometimes even get to the point where I feel guilty about it. And we have to be better about that because we're amazing, and people need to know that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. And I 100% agree with if you're studying for a certification, especially like the CISSP, put in progress, because I've seen companies where you can tell they're trying to give you a chance. Some will say you must have your CISSP or obtain it in 6 months.
Right.
So if they're saying in 6 months and you show that you're already studying for it, they can kind of say, okay, they're already locked in. They've already been studying the material. This is just more initiative. If they get the job, they know to kind of keep studying for it and knock it out. But if they haven't been studying for it, who's to say that they got that drive after 6 months on the job to go ahead and knock it out? So,
right. And that's a risk. It's expensive to hire people. So, skills or not, it's still a risk-based decision. What's your learning curve? What are we going to have to pour into you to get you being productive? Like, all those things are considered.
Oh, yeah. What have you enjoyed about being the adjunct professor at Yeshiva University? Is it Yeshiva?
Yeah, it's Yeshiva.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What I enjoy about it is, well, I guess I'll take a step back. The reason that I started teaching when I had the opportunity was because I was I want to make sure I say this the right way. I was disappointed in my own outcomes from the 2 master's degrees that I have. I won't say I was disappointed in what the universities provided, because it's good content. But what I learned is that you really have to not only dig into the program itself, right? So what does the program cover from a broad perspective? You have to dig into whether it's a practical degree. Is it an applied degree? Is it more theoretical? So when you're digging into the overall program and the syllabus, I guess you could say, for the whole program, you also have to dig into the curriculum of the courses themselves. And so I was disappointed because I got a master's degree in information security, and then I got a master's degree in cybersecurity, thinking that they would be different, and they really weren't. And they were both a lot of theory and writing papers, and I wanted more hands-on. So I started teaching because I wanted to take more of a practical approach, right? So there is the theoretical knowledge that students need to have, but when I teach my students, it's not a reiteration of what they got from the text. It's like, okay, you learned all these things, they're table stakes. Now let me take you to thinking about what's going on in the real world, right? So from a theoretical perspective, if they're learning about incident management and the book touches on SIM technology, well, you know what a SIM is, but that's not going to help you when you go get a job. So let's talk about how you can go get a free trial of Splunk, or how you can go get certified for free on Sumo Logic to take that a step further. And now you're having meaningful conversations instead of regurgitating what you read in a book. So that's why I wanted to start teaching. And I think what makes me happy about it is that it's working. The students find it valuable, and the way I am able to assess that is by the questions they ask. And the questions are more relevant to actually applying the knowledge than memorizing what's in the book so they can pass a certification exam. And I tell them all the time, I'd rather you get a C in my class and be able to articulate what you've learned than to get A's on everything and not be useful to anyone.
Exactly. And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but have you had one of those Oprah moments teaching at the university where the light bulb turns on and you're like, this is why I wanted to do this? Do you have and if so, do you have an example of that?
Yeah, I had a couple of students take the CISSP's exam after my fall 2019 semester. And so, they passed and they posted on LinkedIn, and they both tagged me, saying that things that they learned in my class helped them pass the exam. And it was really special for me because I wasn't teaching a CISSP prep course,
Yep.
right? I teach critical thinking. And that is really what helps you not only pass these exams, but it also helps you make meaningful contributions to organizations. So seeing them, one, achieve success is great, but to get kudos for having a hand in it and saying your approach really helped me with this was a big deal for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, I want to go back to your other answer. That was kind of one of those aha moments too. Is like when you said you taught them how to not just ask questions about theory, but once you started to teach that practical side, they ask questions around how did this work? And like you said, a C student is stronger than an A student that knows how to do the job when they get out of the university. So
Absolutely. That's what I care about.
Oh yeah. Good points. You recently just started an organization called Empow. Can you explain what this organization is all about?
Sure. I mean, high level, it really is a safe space for women of color, either already in the cybersecurity field or interested in the cybersecurity field, to just come and just be and collaborate and learn and fail too. We all fear failure. And I think the way cybersecurity is presented as a job opportunity or a career path, it's daunting, right? I talk to a lot of people that think they have to be a coder or think they have to have been in some sort of technology field prior to that. And so my goal is to lower the barrier of entry or the perceived barrier of entry, but really focus on women of color, but not just from the perspective of cybersecurity skills, also the entire individual, because there's a lack of confidence as well that plays into the ability to land gainful employment. And so while there are many people of color in general that are competent enough to land a job, they lack the confidence to articulate their ability to do so. And so we are focused on making sure, women of color receive what they need in the way of boosting their technical knowledge, but we're also focused on driving the internal confidence as well. So focusing on things like imposter syndrome, building your personal brand, networking in meaningful ways. So we'll have mentorship opportunities and everything as well. And the reason I decided to do it this way is I just went from kind of, plugging along, making my mistakes, having things blow up on me, restarting, figuring it out. And then, one day I was like, wow, now I'm getting awards and people want to talk to me. And, I've kind of been a bit of a hermit, but I got to the point where I felt like it would be irresponsible for me to not tell my story and help others maybe not struggle as much as I did, because I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have a mentor. It was just all hard knocks and figuring it out the hard way. So I started out saying, I'll just mentor a couple people here and there. And then I was like, that's not going to have enough of an impact. I need to do this on a broader scale. And then that just kind of grew and grew. And then Empower Cybersecurity was born.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for not being selfish and giving back to the community, because I've seen your impact. So I'm definitely excited about your new initiative. Also, what is your advice to African American women or any women that are thinking of starting a career in cybersecurity?
My first advice is do it. You have to start. But I think starting means different things to different people. And whoever you are, to start with an evaluation of self. Why do I want to be in this field? Do I feel passionate about it, or am I doing it because someone else said I should? I will say you cannot have a successful cybersecurity career if you're not passionate about it, because it's not a one and done thing. You're always learning. There's always challenges, and reach out to other women of color that are doing it. Part of the reason for Empower Cybersecurity is that there aren't enough women of color, basically people that look like us doing it. And so if I'm someone that's looking to get in and I'm looking at what my options are and I'm looking at this cybersecurity thing and people are telling me I could be successful, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of people that look like me doing that, I'm probably going to go somewhere where I feel a bit more represented. So, to that end, women that are already successful in the field, we need to be more visible, right? We need to be representatives to show other women that it's possible. But also women of color looking to, or African-American women looking to get into the cybersecurity space need to realize that if they walk away, there will never be the change that there needs to be in terms of representation and diversification of the pipeline. So, figure out self, figure out a path, hit up, Empower Cybersecurity or find someone else that's doing it, get a mentor. We're out here and we are hell bent on making a change, and it's going to take all of us.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's switch modes and talk about you being an assistant coach with the American Football Events, AFE. Talk a little about this and then why you enjoy doing it, or why you enjoy it so much.
So I played women's tackle football for about 12 years. Yeah, I started back in 2003. I played D-line, O-line, fullback, and then I finally finished up at middle linebacker, which was probably my favorite. Nice. And I think that is where my confidence started to build, because I wasn't always a confident individual. Like I was saying earlier, I moved around a lot, so I was always the new kid, never really fit in and things like that. But football really helped. It was the sense of community that I never had. And I mean, of course, being able to suit up and lay somebody out without penalty was pretty awesome too, right? That's empowering in and of itself. But when it was, my body was like, hey, this is over. You can't do this anymore. It's time to hang it up. It was tough for me to walk away from it. So I started coaching the team that I played for in New York. Gotcha. And then just, networking and talking to people. I was brought into AFE, which is an international team. And actually, AFE is really an organization focused on community service that just also happens to play football games. And so I've been to Cancun with this team. We had a tournament in Virginia Beach. And so we travel internationally and we play tournaments. We went to Honduras as well. We actually got stuck in Honduras at the beginning of the pandemic, but we travel with the intent to play tournaments or to play football games, but everywhere we go, we do community service events as well. So whether that's, visiting a shelter or visiting locations for children's in need or in anything like that. So it's always a combination of football and community service, which is what I love about this organization specifically. And just given everything that I have going on, it fits a little better for me in terms of timing, because the local team, their schedule is, it's 3 times a week from January all the way through August, whereas the international games are a collection of women that play for these local teams coming together a few times a year. And it's about a week worth of time in any time there's a tournament.
Okay. And it makes me think of something. I'm going to ask you another question on that. Are you familiar with the new women's league that's kind of official now that just came about?
So there's I know the WNFC is a couple of years, and there's one out of Vegas. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, Vegas. I think that's the new one, right? How do you feel about that one? Any thoughts on that?
No, I don't really have any thoughts on it. I don't really know enough about their specific approach. On the surface, it looks like, they're focused on trying to get women compensated fairly because there's a number of women's leagues, but what you'll find in most of them is that women pay to play. They're not compensated. And even if it were free, that'd be better, than where a lot of the teams are today. So this league seems to be focused on actually making it meaningful from a financial perspective, but that's really all I know of it. But I'm all for any opportunities that are looking to empower women to do more in football, but not exploit them. That's important to me as well.
Definitely. And I definitely commend you on the AFE by doing like you said, the community service. Wherever you go to play, you find a way to give back to the community. So do you have any new events going on that you want the viewers to know about, that you kind of, or any last advice that you kind of want to put out there?
I think the biggest thing I have going on right now is Empow Cybersecurity. So we had our inaugural meeting on Monday. It went really well. And we are, I would say, upwards of a little over 60 members at the moment. So right now we're getting everyone in the same place and getting organized, and we're really about to start kicking things off. We have a couple of, I would call them training academies that we're going to kick off in January. So one is focused on professional development. One is technical training. So we partner with Cybrary. And so the individual would get free access to the pro version of Cybrary, get aligned with the career track, be paired with a mentor. Also the professional development track, those individuals would be paired with a mentor as well. And then we have a pure mentorship track for the members. But you do have to be a member of Empow Cybersecurity to qualify, and applications are going to open up actually tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
On November 1st.
November 1st. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, Tia, the Blak Cyber stage is yours. If people want to know more about Tia Hopkins, where can they go online?
I think my LinkedIn is probably like an active version of what I have going on, but I also have a personal website. It's just tiahopkins.com. So, if I have a speaking engagement or write an article or think something's cool, I usually publish it there.
Gotcha. Do you have Empower, the organization? Are you talking about that on the website, or where can they get information about that organization?
Yes, so it is linked from my website, but our the Empow Cybersecurity website is empowhercyber.org. But we're also on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and
Nice. Tia, thank you for stopping by the Blak Cyber podcast today. I definitely appreciate it. You dropped a lot of knowledge. Good to hear about your organization and the things you're doing with that.
I appreciate you having me. This is fun.
Oh, yeah. If you enjoyed today's podcast episode, you can find many more on our YouTube page. Just go to YouTube and type Blak Cyber to check out our podcast and other content. All right. Thank you again, Tia.
All right. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Blak Cyber podcast, hosted by George McPherson, securing our place in the industry. Be sure to subscribe to Blak Cyber on YouTube, and also subscribe to our podcast on all the major podcast networks like Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and many more.